In our last episode, we witnessed the rise of Dingiswayo, the failed assassin who murdered his brother, seized power through European military technology, and revolutionized Southern African warfare. But his greatest achievement wasn't conquest. It was recognizing genius in an outcast. Around 1809, a young warrior joined Dingiswayo's regiments, mocked as illegitimate, exiled as a child, burning with the need to prove himself worthy. This is how a kingmaker created a legend and paid the ultimate price for his success. The story of how Shaka came under Dingiswayo's protection involves some historical uncertainty. Some accounts suggest that after being exiled from Zulu territory at age 6, he and his mother Nandi moved through several communities over the years, first to the Ilangeni people, then to other clans during times of hardship, eventually finding their way to Mthethwa territory through various circumstances. However, the more widely supported historical accounts suggest that Dingiswayo personally took them in when they sought refuge. Multiple sources indicate that the Mthethwa king offered them land and protection out of respect for Queen Nandi's royal status, a decision that aligns with Dingiswayo's documented character as a leader who recognized potential in outcasts and exiles. What we know for certain is this. By 1809, both Nandi and Shaka were under Mthethwa protection. And when Shaka reached warrior age and joined the military regiments, he carried the weight of a lifetime's rejection. Born from a relationship his society considered taboo, mocked for his illegitimate birth, bullied by peers who saw him as unwanted, Shaka was burning with a desperate need to prove that everyone who had rejected him was wrong. When other commanders saw just another refugee seeking acceptance, Dingiswayo, the man who had himself been an outcast, an exile, a revolutionary, saw something familiar in this angry young warrior. What he recognized was intelligence that questioned everything, innovation that improved traditional methods, and most importantly, the outsider's perspective that made conventional thinking impossible. For Dingiswayo, this wasn't just promising, it was personal. Here was someone whose revolutionary instincts matched his own. Under Dingiswayo's guidance, Shaka's military education began with a crucial lesson. Innovation without power is worthless. Dingiswayo had spent years developing the Amabutho system, European weapon integration, and Confederation politics. Now he had found someone capable of pushing these innovations even further. Shaka developed the famous Ikwa, a short stabbing spear that proved devastatingly effective in close combat. Dingiswayo allowed these radical innovations to flourish, providing resources for testing and training. Shaka refined encirclement tactics, later famous as the bull's horns, where forces would engage enemy centers while flanking units surrounded them completely. But the most important lesson was about strategic ruthlessness. When pursuing larger goals, traditional morality becomes a limitation. Dingiswayo taught Shaka that power structures exist to be either used or destroyed, never simply accepted. He taught him that loyalty should flow toward competence and vision, not birth order or traditional claims. By 1815, Shaka had become Dingiswayo's most trusted military commander, but the mentor's greatest test was approaching, an opportunity that would require everything he had learned about reading character and making strategic bets on human potential. In 1816, Shaka's father, Senzanga Kona, died, creating a succession crisis in the small Zulu chiefdom. By traditional law, succession should have gone to Shaka's half-brother, Sigujana. Shaka had no legitimate claim. He was still considered illegitimate by Zulu custom. Historical accounts show that Dingiswayo provided military support for Shaka's bid for the Zulu chieftainship. The exact motivations behind this decision remain debated by historians. but the consequences are well documented. With a regiment of Mthethwa warriors, Shaka returned to Zulu territory in 1816. This wasn't traditional succession. This was a military-backed installation of power. Sigujana was killed during this process. Historical sources confirm that Shaka secured the Zulu chieftainship through force, with Dingiswayo's backing. What we can document is the result. Shaka became chief of the Zulu people as a client ruler under Mthethwa authority, and this arrangement would have significant consequences for both kingdoms. With Mthethwa backing and his own innovations, Shaka transformed the tiny Zulu chiefdom with terrifying efficiency. He implemented everything Dingiswayo had taught him about military organization, but pushed every innovation to its logical extreme. The Amabutho system became more sophisticated. Age-grade regiments with specialized training and equipment. Military discipline became more severe. Warriors who showed cowardice faced execution. Tactical innovations became more lethal. The Ikwa and Bull's Horn formation made Zulu forces devastatingly effective in close combat. But Shaka added something Dingiswayo hadn't emphasized: systematic psychological warfare designed to break enemy morale before battles even began. Within months, neighboring chiefdoms faced an impossible choice: submit to Zulu authority or face annihilation. Most chose submission. Those who didn't ceased to exist as independent political entities. But throughout this period of rapid expansion, Shaka remained subordinate to Dingiswayo. He contributed Zulu regiments to Mthethwa campaigns and followed his mentor's strategic guidance. The relationship had evolved from teacher-student to allied rulers, bound together by mutual ruthlessness and shared vision of revolutionary change. For several years, they seemed unstoppable, two revolutionary minds working in perfect coordination. But their partnership was about to face the ultimate test. By 1817, Chief Zwaid of the Zulu Kingdom had been watching Dingiswayo's expansion with growing alarm. Zwaida understood exactly what the Mthethwa innovations represented: an existential threat to traditional Nguni power structures. If Dingiswayo's confederation continued growing, every traditional chief would eventually face the same impossible choice that Shaka had given his neighbors: submit or be destroyed. Zwaid decided to eliminate the threat at its source. He began planning something unprecedented: not just military confrontation with the Mthethwa, but the systematic capture and elimination of Dingiswayo himself. For Zwaid understood that the Mthethwa Confederation was held together by one man's vision and authority. Remove Dingiswayo, and the entire revolutionary structure might collapse. What Zwaid didn't understand was that Dingiswayo had already created something that could survive his death: a protege who would learn not just his tactical innovations, but his strategic ruthlessness. The trap was set. The most innovative military leader in southern Africa was about to walk into his final battle, and his death would unleash something far more dangerous than anything he had created. In a carefully planned engagement, Zwaid's forces met Dingiswayo's army in what appeared to be a standard territorial battle. But this was no ordinary military confrontation. It was an elaborate trap designed to capture the Mthethwa king. During the fighting, Dingiswayo was taken prisoner. Zwaid had achieved what no other enemy had managed. He had captured the most innovative military leader in southern Africa. What happened next was both inevitable and tragic. Zwaid ordered Dingiswayo's execution, believing he had eliminated the source of revolutionary change in the region. But Zwaid had made a fatal miscalculation. By killing Dingiswayo, he hadn't destroyed the revolutionary threat. He had just transferred it to someone even more dangerous. When news of his mentor's death reached Shaka, the student faced a choice that would define the rest of African history: He could retreat to Zulu territory and survive as a minor chief under Nwandwe dominance. Or he could do exactly what Dingiswayo had taught him: break all traditional rules and seize power through superior ruthlessness. The failed assassin had been killed, but his greatest creation was about to surpass everything he had achieved. Next time on our documentary series, watch how Shaka used everything Dingiswayo taught him to destroy Zwide, claim the Mthethwa Confederation, and build the Zulu Kingdom. Subscribe now and hit that notification bell. The story of how legends are made is just getting started. Thanks for watching.